have a very interesting tour story that sort of is sort of eerie. Not eerie, but it connects to something that happened recently. We were on it was my headline. Well, I wasn't the headline. I was actually opening for Jody Watley in 1991, and we had done VCU in Richmond. And so after the show, we were outside, I had a limo to take me back to the hotel. I would let Jay ride with me and whatever else happened, my younger days, So, some young ladies standing around, they were giving us that vibe. So long story short, I introduced myself to one, and she was like, look, I know what this is, I know how the game is run, but it's cool. I'm with it. Just let us take y'all around to a couple of clubs, you know what I'm saying? We have a good time, and then, whatever. So I was like, all right. So we went to a few clubs. It was me, Jay, and the woman, and in another car, were some of the people that was on tour with me. It was my man Chase, his homeboy who was dancing on tour with me. I can't remember his name. We used to call him Batman because he used to always wear Batman shirts. And my DJ on the tour, this cat, his name was Ron. So we called him Rock and Ron. So we hit those clubs, everything's everything. So we end up at the hotel. The young lady tells me like, some of those other girls, because we were a lot younger. Some of those girls were not of age. And I was like, why didn't you tell me that? And she was like, I'm not really responsible for them. They was just hanging around me, but I'm just giving you the 411. Like, some of them are not of age, so you might want to alert some of your boys before they venture without inquiring. So long story short, for the sake of, as a young lady present, that's just my style. We're going to fast forward to the morning, right? Get a banging on my door. They like, yo, get up, man. We got to, this, that, and the other. The parents of those girls were on their way to the hotel. I don't know who found out or whatever the case. I think one of the girls found out. It turned out that two of them were underage. I don't know what happened. I can only be responsible for myself under those conditions, but I didn't know what happened, and I did warn them. Me and Jay had to get out of there anyway because I had a date in Houston at some big park. Chucky Booker, I don't know if you remember him. He was one of the headlines there. It was some festival. We got out of there in time. And the reason why I'm thinking of that one is because very recently, the cat that was out on the road with me, that was one of my dancers, he's doing time now for a murder charge. He had a situation in New York, and you might have heard about it, where he hit this guy that he was having an argument. He hit him with his car, and the dude died, and he's doing about 30 some odd years. That's what made me think about it. That's why, so it's eerie to me. It's probably just a story to y'all, but that shit is kind of eerie to me, and it made me think about, because I was thinking about him recently. I definitely want to make it clear that once I got that intel that two of those girls were underage, it was 4 of them and 2 of them were underage, I had to let the boys know, because I had to cover myself, and I definitely had to cover them, and that's how it went down. And it was just a crazy situation. Me and Jay had previous engagement, and we had to jump. I ain't want to mess up my money or my fame, by any nonsense, that, especially something that I wasn't responsible for doing any ill acts. So that was some of the wilder things, or one of the wildest things that went on with me on tour. Like I was probably one of the quietest tour acts ever. Well, here's a crazy tour story. While I was out on tour, opening for Jody Watley in 1991. We were at this venue outside of Philly, and after the show, we were just outside standing around, people admiring. We just talking, having a good time, talking shit. We ain't started no trouble. And then, these detectives roll up. They just pointed us out. Like, y'all got to get out of here. State your business, what you doing here. And after I told them what we were doing there and why you're not asking anybody else to leave off of the block, dude put his hands on me, like nudged me real hard. And, before I, could one piece him, my road manager jumped in between. The road manager was Caucasian, and yes, that did play a factor in diffusing that whole experience. So, it is what it is. But I was very upset, and I ended up kind of junking the Winnebago that, we were touring on the road with. I was upset. I wanted to go back around the corner and tell that D, drop his badge and his gun and shit, let's shoot the fair one. Like grown men, you're gonna touch me like you a man, you a coward.